This is the warm-up, and here is my take to get us started today. You aren't upset over Tim Kelly becoming the Titans offensive coordinator. You're upset that the Titans have chosen to remain the Titans. Now, the hiring of Tim Kelly, I think, makes you, and I don't mean you in particular, the listener who is listening to the sound of my voice. Maybe it is. I think that generally speaking, this is the reaction that we saw in the last 48 hours, JT, to Tim Kelly being made the offensive coordinator for the Titans. There's been a lot of frustration and anger, and we talked through a lot of that on Wednesday. So go back and listen to that episode if you want my full take on the hire. But I think the general sentiment from this hire, the frustration, the anger, the destitute, outlook on this team, a lot of fans asking when 2024 is and waiting to move on past next year already. I think that is a reaction that is born not of being disappointed or distrusting of Tim Kelly and his ability to operate the offense, and much more frustration that you think this hire means the Titans aren't radically remodeling their offensive identity like you wish that they would. And Tim Kelly, really, JT, I think Tim Kelly could become the next Arthur Smith, and a number of people would still be dissatisfied. It's because they don't want the Titans to be the Titans anymore. They want this team to change its identity, and they were getting their hopes up because of the momentum headed in the direction so far this offseason of this team changing a lot, changing players, changing what they're wanting to do from a coaching perspective and philosophy perspective, what Mike Vrabel has laid out in his press conferences, what the change with Ran Carthon means for the team. All of that change made you get a little drunk on the idea that, oh boy, maybe the Titans won't be the Titans anymore. Maybe we'll see them change their identity entirely on the offensive side of the ball in one offseason. And so I think the crux of this debate isn't Kelly's capability. It's that you wish the Titans would become a more modern offense. But I'm here to tell you that Mike Vrabel is, in fact, still Mike Vrabel, and he's still in charge of this team. What do most folks furious or distraught over this hire have in common, JT? I think the vast majority of them want the Titans, and have wanted for a while, for the Titans to go get a new quarterback as soon as possible. And why is that? It's because that's another big piece. You got to have the offensive philosophy. The guy calling the plays has to be bought in. And then you got to have a guy capable, wearing the green dot on offense, of leading a team in a way that is not just capable of doing it, but capable of doing it at a high level. And you see that with the Patrick Mahomes and the Josh Allens and the Joe Burrows. Like, the Titans still have Ryan Tannehill. We've explained we think he's staying around at least through next year. And so if this is you, and I'm not saying it is you, maybe you're listening and you agree with me, in which case, great. But if this is you and you have agreed with a lot of the hypothetical mindset that I've laid out so far, I want to challenge you to step back and consider just how rooted in reality this opinion of yours is. None of this should be surprising to you or to any of us in hindsight. Mike Vrabel isn't suddenly changing everything about what he believes his football team should be, how he wants his football team to operate. The way that he's worked as a coach, as long as we've seen him as a head coach, has been, I want a defense that plays sound and physical, and I want an offense that plays efficiently and explosively. That's what this team is going to remain, at least, for a couple of years, because not only is that how Mike Vrabel believes football should be played, but it also, there's an element of it that I think goes unmentioned too often, in the sense that in order to change your identity away from that, you got to have the team built in a way that allows you to do so. Ran Carthon came in from the 49ers, right? A team that operates in the exact same way as the Titans have been. They just did it at a much higher level. If this team's going to be retaining Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry, which I think that they are, based on everything that we've seen and heard, and the logic that precedes us here, I think that they're going to be around for at least one more year each. What were you thinking was going to happen with this team in your grand visions of magical, drastic, radical changes on the offensive side of the ball? How did you envision this going? How did you envision the Titans going and getting Eric Bieniemy or somebody along the lines of one of the Chiefs guys that was, potentially going to come in like Bieniemy or Nagy. How did you see that going with them coming in, radically changing the way that this Titans team operates on offense, and then doing it with the same key players, doing it with an offensive line that they're going to have to remodel almost entirely this offseason? Yes, those key pieces, they're capable of being much different from what they were in 2022. They're capable of working in an offense that works much better than a 7-10 team that was the only team that failed to go over, 25 or 30 points any time in the season. But no, I don't think those players are capable of effectively changing the entire way that they play offense as a team. They can't operate like the Chiefs or the Bills or the Bengals do. They aren't built that way. They can't, even if they wanted to. So as long as this team is built in the way that it is, they're going to continue to play in that way. And the build of this team that I'm referring to, it includes the coaches and the front office as well. With Mike Vrabel still in charge of this team, and with Rand Carthon installed as the new GM, nothing about this should be surprising. Now, does it mean this team is doomed to exist in mediocrity forever? Is this mediocre purgatory for the Titans? Absolutely not. I'm not going to go into detail in the discussion of how can you and can't you win in the NFL, but I've made it clear in my work for a couple years now that I don't think that you have to operate in one way to succeed in the NFL. So they're not in mediocre purgatory, but it does mean that they aren't going to suddenly, in the course of one offseason, transform into a team that they are not. So that's my take. That is the warm-up for today. You aren't upset over Tim Kelly being the offensive coordinator. You're upset that the Titans have chosen to remain the Titans.